Ever scroll through LinkedIn and get that, like, tiny pang of envy when you see someone snagged a job at Google?
Oh,
It's
go.
like, man, they made it. Living the dream, right? Free food, nap pods, all that jazz.
Right. It's like the golden ticket of the tech world.
Exactly. But today we're doing a deep dive into whether that dream is really all it's cracked up to be.
Oh, this is going to be good.
We've got this super juicy Glassdoor review.
Oh, juicy, how so?
It's from a former Google software engineer based in London,
Okay, London Google. Got it.
and they did not hold back. Called their time at Google overrated, straight up.
Oh, wow. No holding back. That's kind of rare. People are usually afraid to burn bridges.
I know, right? But it's just one person's experience. Got to keep that in mind.
True, true. Still, though.
Still juicy. So, ready to jump into the deep end of Google's company culture?
Hit me. Let's dive in.
Okay, so this engineer, right off the bat, admits that having Google on their resume, it still carries weight.
Yeah, the Google brand, it's like this weird thing. Even if people have mixed feelings about the company itself, that name on your resume still opens doors.
Totally. You see ex Google and you're like, okay, you've got to be at least somewhat competent.
At least. Uh-huh.
But then, get this, they describe the actual work environment as a pressure cooker,
Pressure cooker. Oof, I've heard that before.
emphasizing the words perfect and scalable, like everything has to be both.
Which, I mean, it's Google. They're huge. Everything they do has to be massive.
Exactly. But for the people actually building and maintaining those systems,
Yeah, that's where the pressure cooker comes in.
yeah,
It's this constant drive for growth, for innovation, and it's got to happen fast. And for software engineers, especially at a place like Google, that can mean insane deadlines, features being added last minute.
feature creep, the worst.
The absolute worst. And through it all, you're expected to churn out this, like, elegant, perfect code while basically running on fumes and caffeine.
And probably not sleeping very much.
Probably not. No wonder this engineer felt burnt out.
Makes total sense. And it's not just the workload. They really lay into Google's bureaucracy, especially around performance reviews and promotions.
Ah, the dreaded performance review. What'd they say about it?
They said it felt like it didn't matter how much you actually accomplished.
It was more about,
It was more about who your manager was and how visible you were within the company, like how much face time you had.
oh, office politics, the other pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's a tale as old as, like, cubicles. These massive companies, they try to make their systems fair and objective, but when you have that many people,
Things fall through the cracks.
yeah, it can start to feel impersonal, even arbitrary, and that can be so frustrating for employees.
Especially if you're killing it on projects but not playing the game.
Exactly. And that actually ties into this engineer's next point, which is that at Google, it's often more about visibility than actual value.
Ooh, that's a good point. How so?
Well, they were saying that some of their colleagues spent more time talking about their work than actually doing it,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to stay top of mind.
Oh, totally. It's like high school all over again, but instead of who's dating who, it's who's got the most impressive project or who came up with the best algorithm.
It's the dark side of that whole high-pressure environment. Everyone's so busy trying to get ahead, it can breed this culture of, like, self-promotion and competition.
Which can actually stifle real collaboration, right?
Exactly. It's like everyone's too busy trying to be the next big thing that they forget to actually work together and build something great.
That makes sense. So we've got pressure, bureaucracy, a healthy dose of unhealthy competition. It makes you wonder, what happens when things inevitably go sideways?
Oh, 100%. And this engineer, they were actually there for the recent layoffs at Google.
Ooh, so they saw it all go down. What'd it say?
Well, they said the layoffs kind of exposed all the cracks that were already there. Like all those simmering issues with morale and job security, they all just boiled over.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
But when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked.
Exactly. And it sounds like that's kind of what happened at Google, at least from this engineer's perspective. So, big picture, having Google on your resume still carries weight, but
But it's not all sunshine and roses.
right, intense pressure, potential for unfairness, a culture that sometimes seems to prioritize appearances over results.
Those are definitely factors to consider. 100%.
That makes you really think about what's important in a job. Like, yeah, that brand name recognition can be nice.
But is it worth sacrificing your sanity?
Right. That's the question we all have to ask ourselves. How much weight do you place on a brand name versus having a healthy company culture and, a life outside of work?
It's something to really ponder, especially in this job market where it feels like anything can happen.
Truth
Well, on that note,
to be continued.